From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, May the 16th, 2018. A Hamas official today said that almost all of the Palestinians killed during Gaza border riots on Monday were Hamas terrorists. The IDF shared video of Hamas official Salah Bardawil giving a television interview stating that 50 of the 62 killed at the Gaza fence were members of the terror group.
كان الجولة الأخيرة استشهد 62 شهيد. نعم. منهم 50 شهيد من حماس.
Israel has repeatedly said it holds Hamas accountable for the deadly violence and high death toll, saying the terror group encouraged and led the riots, which included attacks on Israeli troops and attempts to breach the security fence, and that the IDF only uses live fire when absolutely necessary. And as Israel was hit with a firestorm of criticism yesterday over the Gaza situation, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to CBS Network in New York about who is really responsible.
They're pushing civilians, women, children into the line of fire with the view of getting casualties. We try to minimize casualties. They're trying to incur casualties in order to put pressure on Israel, which is horrible.
You said they want kids to die.
Yes.
Putting kids in the line of fire.
Yes.
Did your army go too far?
I don't know of any army that would do anything differently if you had to protect your border against people who say, we're going to destroy you and we're going to flood into your country. You try other means. You try all sorts of means. You try non-lethal means and they don't work, so you're left with bad choices. It's a bad deal. You know, you try and you go for below the knee and sometimes it doesn't work. And unfortunately, these things are avoidable. If Hamas had not pushed them there, then nothing would happen. Hamas holds responsibility for doing this, and they're deliberately doing it.
Jewish organizations here in the U.S. also responded to the massive criticism leveled at Israel. The American Jewish Committee said critics of Israel have sought to portray the situation as peaceful protests by Gazans. But the AJC said the goal of the protests were to breach an internationally recognized border, penetrate Israel, and as Hamas spokesmen have repeatedly declared, to slaughter Jews. The AJC asked, what choice does Israel have if a variety of non-lethal means fails to stop the demonstrators from trying to enter Israel and wreak havoc? What exactly would other countries do in a similar situation? And while the security fence is relatively quiet today, shots were fired earlier this morning by Hamas terrorists in Gaza at IDF soldiers on the border fence. There were no injuries. And in another incident of gunfire today, several homes in Sderot were hit by heavy machine gun fire coming from Gaza. The shots were said to have been targeting an Israeli aircraft. There were no injuries, though the homes sustained some property damage. IDF tanks fired at Hamas positions within the northern Gaza Strip in response to the two shooting incidents. The IDF also said today that Hamas refused entry of tons of medical aid sent to Gaza from Israel via the Kerem Shalom border crossing. Hamas officials checked trucks entering the crossing today, allowing supplies from the Palestinian Authority and from UNICEF, but when the officials saw the medical supplies sent from Israel, they said they were not prepared to accept medicine with IDF labels on it. Israel's foreign ministry said Hamas prioritizes its conflict with Israel over the needs of the people of Gaza. Israel's ambassador to Turkey, Eitan Naeh, who was expelled from Ankara over the Gaza border fence violence, was reportedly put through a humiliating security check as he left the country, with Turkish television crews filming every moment. Returning to Israel, Naeh said he always has to undergo security at the Istanbul airport, but that this was the only time cameras were brought in to witness it. Israel's foreign ministry in response said the Turkish embassy diplomat in Tel Aviv was summoned for a dressing down, and that Israeli journalists were invited to film Umut Deniz's entrance to the foreign ministry building in Jerusalem today. Director of the foreign ministry's Southern Europe department, Iris Ambor, expressed to Deniz Israel's strong protest to the outrageous Turkish conduct, calling it a blatant violation of the diplomatic code of conduct common among nations. And Foreign Ministry spokesman Emmanuel Nachshon said Israel views the incident that took place this morning at the airport in Istanbul very gravely. Earlier in the day, Israel expelled the Turkish consul Hunsu Gurkan Turkoglu, echoing the same language that Turkey used against Naeh, telling Turkoglu that he was requested to return to his country for consultation for a certain period of time. Well, Guatemala today became the second country to move its embassy to Jerusalem. Following in the footsteps of the United States opening on Monday, Guatemalan President Jimmy Morales joined Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu for the ribbon-cutting ceremony today. Netanyahu told the president it was a great day for Israel and a great day for Guatemala. He said, "You are the second country to recognize Israel, but you had a very important role in this because your UN ambassador, Granados, was very active in lobbying the countries at the UN to support the partition resolution, which was effectively the recognition of the Jewish state by the UN." Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Wednesday, May the 16th at 7 o'clock, remarks from the Shalem Center's Dan Polisar. At 8 o'clock, an Israeli Policy Forum discussion of the issues challenging Israel with Anita Shapira of Tel Aviv University, Daniel Gordis of Shalem College, and Itamar Rabinovich of the Israel Institute speaking with Natan Sachs of the Brookings Institute at the Harmony Club in New York City. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with Bar-Ilan University professor Mordechai Kedar, who analyzes current issues in the Muslim world and the way they impact the Israeli-Palestinian relationship. At 10, authors Mati Friedman and Nicole Krauss discuss writing about Israel. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 6:30, it's Thinking Out Loud with Micah Halpern. And that's the JBS News Update for Wednesday, May the 16th, 2018. I'm Teisha Bader.